my goal is to teach you basic or essential principles of nutritional therapy, as opposed to giving you recipes where you copy and paste everything that I say. I'd like you to leave feeling that you have a set of tools that you can use. And that's my goal. Canine diet should have all the necessary and appropriate components, but it is not total completeness, right? Because we don't really know. We don't know how much water our dog will drink. We don't know how much vitamin B or how much certain type of amino acid your dog will need. You can see that I crossed over some of the words here because it's not absolute and it's not total. And I don't want anyone to get an impression that when we put the word complete on in my blogs or in articles, or pet food companies, when they put it on the bag, that it actually means that it has absolutely everything perfectly 100% perfect, because that's not how nature works. So the ideal way of us feeding our dogs to offer them smorgasbord of nutrients, a lot of variety, good quality food, and ideally no junk. We know from yesterday that we have a serious problem, that the nutrients that we feed our dogs and that we eat ourselves do not end up on the soil again. And because food is only grown on soil, food for the feed animals or for ourselves or our dogs, gradually we have more and more depleted soils. Some of the examples that I've seen in my lifetime are, let's say, sugarcane plantations in Hawaii. They overuse and abuse the soils to the point that it has no nutrients. And I've seen some gardens actually basically be totally depleted of nutrients if they're grown or if they're built on the plantation soil after they stop growing and just kind of maybe sell the land or something. So that is a serious problem. And even though food looks like food, it is not the same food that it was 100 years ago. So we talked about the 37 billion reactions, and it doesn't really matter whether you guess 37 billion or 5 billion, it's a lot per second, right? It's crazy. Imagine if someone was supposed to actually manage this. It would be insane, right? So who is the manager next? No one. No one. Who is the manager? No one. Nature works on autopilot. It is the most amazing system that has ever been invented. And I find it very frustrating sometimes when I see us humans trying to invent new technology, new systems, while we have everything in. We just have to use it the right way. It is mind-blowing that we still argue about petty little things, who's wrong and who's right, when we have this amazing system. We're riding on this incredible spaceship called Earth, and we don't even realize how lucky we are. They say that the likelihood of life is something like having 1,000 dices, and they all fall six, right? They have all 6 on it, and that's the likelihood of life. If we ever complain or bitch about something, like, it's a really good way to kind of realize how lucky we are to be around, and how lucky we are that we have our dogs around, right? I'd like to ask you a question. Who kind of invented, or who put the word or term aha moment on the dictionary? Oprah invented the term aha moment, believe it or not. So I had 2 aha moments when it comes to nutrition. One of them was in the mid-90s when I worked in Whistler, BC, in a ski resort as a veterinarian. And we had this dog, his name was Skokie, golden retriever. He was 2 or 3-year-old golden retriever. And his mom, Monica, I hope it's okay that I call her mom, because we're parents, right, of our dogs. His mom, Monica, was battling very, very severe ear problems with Skokie. And it was awful. He had, he was in pain, he was in agony. She took him to a specialist, and the specialist said, well, the only way to help him is to actually resect his ear canal, do a full ear ablation. And we were looking at this 2-3-year-old dog, and the owner and I were terrified. We were thinking, this is just not right. Like, we're not going to put him through so much discomfort and basically remove his ears just because we don't know how to solve it. And so whenever I was frustrated in Whistler, I went skiing, and I went skiing with my friend who was feeding raw. And at that time, in the mid-90s, obviously, I was recommending processed food. I was very proud of myself. And then my friend suggests, well, why don't you just put him on raw food? Why don't you just put this dog on raw food? And I looked at her, I thought, she went crazy, right? And then I started thinking about it, and that I remembered that when I was little, our dachshund, Gerda, was on raw food. I totally forgot. So we put Skokie on raw food, and you know what the results were? A month later, 50% better. 2 months later, ear problems gone, right? So that was a real aha moment for me. And within pretty much, I don't know, 2 or 3 months, we had a freezer in the office with raw food. My colleague, the owner of the practice then, was very liberal, and he allowed me to go crazy with the freezer. And it was fun. It was really fun. Another aha moment I had actually before Skokie, and it was when I had allergies. As a teenager and as a kid, I had allergies. I wasn't able to breathe through the nose for 6 months of the year. And I loved horses, and we had to work really hard and gather hay and straw and all that. And I was not able to breathe through the nose for 6 months out of the year. Obviously, I was on every single medication, from antihistamines to even steroids. The doctors just basically didn't know what to do. And when I started kind of looking, when I became a little older, about 20 or 21, I started to look into nutritional therapy and microbiotics, and I started following the rules or the suggestions, and I cured my allergies. If you have any questions about steroids and how badly they affect our body, you can go on my website and search steroids, and I have actually a whole article on that. But anyway, those were my aha moments, and obviously they were transformational. I started studying with Dr. Richard Pitcairn. Actually, Dr. Karen Becker was my classmate at the homeopathy classes, believe it or not. So we were classmates, and we've been in touch. She's amazing. And so are all my colleagues who've been presenting. And I so wish that I was able to say hi at the conference, but one day I'm sure that we'll meet each other. So I have a question for you. Do you think that you can stop your dog's biochemical reactions, that you actually can somehow prevent them from happening? Generally, unless your dog passes away, unless your dog dies, we actually can stop our dog's chemical reactions. And you know how we do that? I try to leave you in suspense a little bit. We can do that by depleting their food. So let's have a look at the next slide, and I'll try to explain what I meant. I love airplanes. I love technology. This airplane is actually Dreamliner, and I know that it's not a picture of a dog where you have to put up with it, because it's kind of cool. Imagine that this Dreamliner is actually, it's made of carbon, and before they make it firm and hard, they actually stitch the wings in the body. They put it together from a very soft carbon mesh, right? And they apply some sort of resin, and then it becomes firm. So the wings are virtually stitched together. They're actually put together from a soft material, then they make it harden, which is absolutely unbelievable. But what would happen when one mineral or element is missing, let's say the carbon, in this plane? The plane would not be able to fly. The wings would be as floppy as your dog's ears. And this is the crazy thing, that we kind of understand that, right? We understand that in the garden, that if there's not enough nitrogen or phosphorus, that the fruit or the greens are not going to be healthy. We kind of understand it with the plane now, because I just explained that. And with our dogs, with animals, and with our own bodies, it's pretty much the same. Let's go to the next slide. What happens when the nutrients are absent, when some of the nutrients are missing in our dogs? That is when you have to go and see a vet, or that is when the body is not able to keep the balance, keep the harmony Disease is nothing else than disturbance of the harmony of all the systems. And quite often, majority of the times, it happens because there is some sort of disturbance on a nutritional level. Not all the cases, but many of them, many of them. So health is impossible without the essential nutrients. And the essential nutrients actually cannot be made by your dog. They're called essential because if we don't give them, if we don't ingest them, they will not be available. And if nutrients are not available, if minerals or other essential nutrients like omegas or essential amino acids are not available, then the body starts failing.